Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, our Week 15 preview show. Paul joined by Jack Weinberger, Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia, and Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's starting to roll right off the tongue with this introduction right here. It's getting very consistent.
Like you said it, I mean, what, a million
times? And
probably,
then by now it's just like automatic. I say Jack Weinberger, Ziggy, and it just comes right off there.
Well, no Zach? That's crazy.
Well, I say Zach every time. You're part of it. You're part of it.
I know, but you went Jack, Ziggy. All right.
EP Zach, producer Zach, Union Zach, many different Zachs. He wears many different hats.
Black sweater Zach.
Yeah. Thug Zach, theater thug Zach.
South Pole Elf Zach.
It's funny, if you guys told me that Tommy DeVito and Zach Wilson would be the NFC and AFC players of the week, and let alone the same week during this season, way back in August, I probably would have believed that we found a way into the multiverse.
I think that was plus like 49,000.
No. More than that. Maybe more. There's a better chance that like Florida A&M Technical University beats.
Oh, you're saying back in like August.
I'm saying back in August. Oh, this week, yeah, probably minus 100,000. But back in August, or a plus 100,000.
Oh, even more.
August would have been. I don't think there are odds. I don't think you could do any odds for that.
Plus 100 million. DeVito's a third stringer. He stunk in college.
I didn't know Tommy DeVito was even in the NFL.
Me neither.
It's crazy how he's on that roll right now.
I said on this podcast a few weeks back, I think he's incapable of winning games in the NFL, and he's 3-0 since then.
Oh, and I nodded.
Like, after the Cowboys destroyed him, I'm like, he can't win a game in the NFL. They're going to lose out. And he's 3-0 since then.
Unbelievable that that's happening right now. Ziggy, you probably like have a little futures bet on the Giants to make the playoffs or something like that.
Cutlets.
No. The only team I've been in on the futures bets are once I saw the Bills go to plus 1,600 to win the division and plus 350 to make the playoffs, and plus 5,000 to win the Super Bowl.
Ziggy, do you have Alabama winning by 20 plus at plus like 8,000? I love that bet. I like that bet.
I'm just. Are you telling me?
No, I love that bet. Yeah, I like that bet. Yes.
Nick Saban's going to be pissed because he knows he's going to get Bill Belichick as his defensive coordinator next year. And everyone's going to say, like, oh, Belichick winning another national championship. Saban's got to bulk things up a little bit before that happens.
I can see it being like 35-10 Alabama.
We have a long ways. We have a long ways till then, but you could probably keep betting it up, just like I did with Washington. Just keep hitting Alabama as the line gets higher and higher and higher. You keep resetting the line. Ziggy, I have a question for you. Can you see the little mustache that I have going on now? Like, is it visible?
Unfortunately. I've never liked the Paul facial hair. This is like you tried this.
Any facial hair?
You know,
it doesn't work for me.
I don't hate it.
I don't think I look like a creep.
You don't look like a freak.
Not yet.
Not yet. Actually, you just look bad.
As long as I keep this going, I think it's fine. Now, look, if I shave this, I probably shouldn't be walking around certain places.
But like, you look like the dude where you're pulling up in an ice cream truck.
Oh, so I look like a pedophile.
Yeah, but not as bad as like you could look.
That's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear you look. It'd be like if you have a mustache. It's like you look like. I probably shouldn't say this for YouTube because we're going to get censored if we say that. But you can fill in the blanks here.
There are multiple.
The mustaches you don't want to wear, even if you don't look quite as bad as the person most famous for wearing them.
You look like a low-grade pedophile.
Okay. That's not. Look, that's not the look I'm going for. Zach likes it though. Right?
Look, I'm a facial hair guy. I mean, look at this thing.
Zach's also a high-grade pedophile.
Well, okay. I do it to say. I had a problem on the last episode. I went back and watched. For some reason, whenever I grow like a beard or a mustache, I just like going like that and that. On the last episode, Ziggy's talking, and every time he goes to him, I'm just sitting here going, like twisting my mustache, like I'm like one of the who's
like
the guy
Dr. Eggman.
Yeah, or Wacky Racers, whoever the hell that guy is.
Oh, what's Dastardly?
His name? Yeah, Dick Dastardly. Like I'm just sitting there like going like this. I was like, oh my God, Paul, you have to control yourself. So if I do that, someone yell at me.
Wacky Races is where my gambling addiction started. I used to bet my siblings on who's going to win.
The episodes?
Yeah. Dick Dastardly, whoever else, I don't know, the girl.
I'm just imagining like you and Jeffrey. You've probably seen these episodes before, and you're like, Jeffrey, I really think that Dick Dastardly's guy has this one.
I actually have never seen the episodes before. The Slag Brothers.
I can't remember them too well. Oh, by the way, Godzilla, for anyone who hasn't seen it, Godzilla -1, fantastic. Fantastic.
Godzilla covered. They covered.
Godzilla covered.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. So go watch that. I know someone left a comment that I was very excited to see that comment. It might have been Ziggy just messing with me, but
the new Miyazaki film also good. It's been a pretty good week for Japanese cinema in the U.S. And if you go to see these movies in theaters, you'll be like the only person in there.
Yeah, the Godzilla one was okay. The crowd, there really wasn't much of a crowd. Speaking though of American things now, back over to American.
Do we have to talk about football?
I mean, I can't think of any Japanese sports to talk about right now.
Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
No, Ohtani. No.
He's broke his record for jersey sales.
$700 million. What the hell?
That's too much.
That's absurd.
I mean, the Dodgers are now heavily incentivized to either declare bankruptcy in 2036 or create a hyperinflation crisis in the United States.
I mean, they'll be 152-8 and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
$700 million. I mean, that's a lottery. That's bigger than most lottery tickets.
I think that's more than like some franchise, like the Pirates have as a team.
Why did I quit baseball? I mean, I was bad, but
yeah, you never know.
He could have been good.
Who knows?
How do you know?
Okay, we actually have a great football show lined up today. We're going to talk about a couple of the close.
Hopefully, we didn't lose viewers in the first 5 minutes.
I know. We're going to talk about some of the close division races going on right now. Whether or not we can see some teams creeping their way into first place. You know, the Texans are in that area. Packers are in that area. Vikings are in that area. We'll talk about some of those. We have game picks. And then, of course, we highlight our games, starting with this one. I'll lead off. The Cowboys and the Bills. Has to be the game of the week this week. Two teams who are in must-win situations for different reasons. The Bills fighting for their playoff hopes. The Cowboys trying to get the 1 seed. And the Dak Prescott MVP train is fully loaded right now. I mean, it is going hardcore. 23 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for Dak over the past 8 games. It's the best Dak we've seen, the best CeeDee Lamb we've seen. Brandon Cooks is playing well. Jake Ferguson is awesome. I said that on the reaction show last week. Every time I hear Jake Ferguson's name, he's like, in the end zone, getting in someone's face. I love this guy. He's unbelievable. So we're so used to that letdown spot for the Cowboys again in games like the Eagles we saw last weekend. For them to finally win this one, it makes me think that the Super Bowl it's really Super Bowl or bust at this point for the Cowboys, and we're going to see what they're made of. They go to Buffalo, then they go to Miami, host the Lions, and they're at the Commanders. So you're going to have to go undefeated because the Eagles aren't going to drop 2 of the 4 to the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Giants twice, and they have the tiebreaker. So this one really matters for Dallas. And I like them actually to go into Buffalo, force some turnovers, and beat the Bills, despite how well they're playing. Ziggy, I'm sure you disagree because you're all in on the Bills hype train.
I mean, I've been pretty high on both of these teams throughout the year, right? But the thing is I think the Buffalo Bills are starting to smell blood in the water. You start hearing, oh boy, Tyreek Hill could be missing some games, right? Things are starting. This Bills team, I think, is starting to believe that their playoff picture, not just like sneaking into a wild card spot, but actually getting in, winning the division, and hosting some playoff games is happening. They picked exactly the right time to start getting hot. And yeah, I think that we're going to see positive regression. Josh Allen is going to continue to do his thing. He's going to continue to improve. And this Cowboys defense, even though it's very good, they just gave up 35 to the Seahawks, right? It's not as though they're impenetrable, and it is tough to stop Josh Allen. So I definitely wouldn't count the Bills out at home in a must-win game.
This game goes a long way for the Dak MVP conversation, Dallas winning the NFC East, and
the Josh Allen MVP conversation.
But Dallas winning the division and maybe getting the number 1 seed. Where I look at this game is Dallas on the defensive side of the ball. We know they've been so good. But the one area they're outside of the top 10 is the run game. And what James Cook has done the last 4 weeks.
He's been awesome.
He's gotten over 100 yards. The first Bills running back to do that in 4 straight games since 2016. So Dallas will score their points. They're the top offensive football right now. They just beat Philly by 20 points, hung 33. They'll score their points. I think Buffalo needs to run the ball efficiently. Keep Dak on the sideline. And if James Cook can go over 100 yards once again, and again, this Cowboys defense most vulnerable against the run, if they can get Cook going, not be one-dimensional, not just Allen to Diggs, but on both ends of the offense, Buffalo can win this game. If James Cook's not a factor, Dallas wins this game. I think that's what it comes down to. Buffalo's run game.
Gotcha. Yeah,
and they've been solid the last 4 weeks. He's been very good.
He's been awesome. I've been paying attention to him because I've been playing him, and my family members have been playing him in fantasy week. So that we have a watchful eye on James Cook specifically. Last game he was phenomenal, and all season long, really, especially towards the past few weeks, he's been heating up.
And with the way, sorry to interrupt, but with the way that Dak and Dallas is playing, I mean, they just murdered this Philly team who just beat Buffalo not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
The way to kind of slow them down right now and to play with them with the way they're scoring is keep this team on the sideline. And Buffalo's not used to these slow, methodical drives. It's not really how they play, but they've played more so like that recently, and they've looked good doing it. James Cook is a huge factor in this game to me.
Yeah, that penultimate drive in the Chiefs game really stands out. So I think you're right on that. And it's worth noting, right? The Cowboys have been very good. They're 10-3 this year, but they're 3-3 on the road and 7-0 at home, right? So you get two different Cowboys teams. You get the Cowboys team that beats the Eagles 33-13 at home, and you get the Cowboys team that loses to the Cardinals by 12, loses to the 49ers by 32, loses to the Eagles on the road. So this team it's schizophrenic, and I don't know which Cowboys team is going to be showing up and if they can beat their road woes.
Well, that's another reason to circle the importance of the 1 seed for Dallas. At home, they've been so good this season. They really are just crushing people in Dallas.
They haven't won a game by less than double digits at home all year.
They've been blowouts.
Yeah.
I mean, what was Seattle? Seattle may have been. That was a back and forth.
Oh, Seattle was like 8.
But still, they looked. I mean, the offense has been sensational. I need to find that stat they said on Thursday Night Football about Dallas on turf versus grass this year, which has been. I mean, maybe that correlates more closely to home and away. The one thing that I'm going to watch for Dallas and Buffalo is the Cowboys have the highest pressure rate in football. Josh Allen, we all know 14 interceptions this year. He's been turning the ball over a lot. He's been really good the past few weeks. The numbers against the Chiefs might not show how many plays he makes for this offense, but if Dallas is able to get to him and force an interception or two here or there, that's where I think the game is going to swing, because the Cowboys right now, they're just playing so well on both sides of the ball, and really Buffalo is too, so it's going to be a good game. One stat here that goes with your Bills take: 15-2 in December and January in regular season games since 2020.
I was going to bring that up. This is now December. It's upstate New York. This is Josh Allen weather. I do think the Bills, a cheap money line price at home, -130, a back and forth, very good game. Again, I think James Cook has a good game. I think Josh Allen has a good game, and I do think the Bills win.
That crowd is great. I've been there before. Well, actually, here, let me rephrase that. That crowd is raucous. They were like twerking me when I was 11 years old, but they are an insane crowd.
The crowd will get into it late, and I think Buffalo forces some sort of huge turnover and wins the game close.
You're right, though, Jack. This is one of those games where Dallas can make another statement here. If they beat the Eagles, then go on the road. And most people think the Bills are a top 5 or 6 team in the league at the moment.
If Dallas goes and wins this game, I might say that right now they're my pick to win the Super Bowl. Them or San Francisco. But I don't think that Dallas wins this game.
Last thing here, I said this right before we started. 62% of the money line bets I'm seeing on the Bills, 95% of the money on Dallas. Just saying.
And yet the spread continues to open.
You're right. All right, Ziggy, what are you keeping an eye on in Week 15?
I've got another game in mind that's going to be impactful on both teams who are racing to make it to the playoffs. I'm paying attention to the Bucs-Packers game. And I'll tell you what the story of this game is, at least initially looking at it. It is injury. On the Packers side, you've got Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Christian Watson, Darnell Savage, Jair Alexander. None of them practiced. On the Bucs side,
too. You got Wicks and Reed as well.
Indeed, they had limited participation today, but they're not doing great. On the Bucs side, Chris Godwin, Jamel Dean, Vita V, Carlton Davis, Devin White, Ryan Neal, right? So critical players on both sides aren't practicing, might not be playing. And this is one of the worst times that could happen for both teams. The Buccaneers in the division race, right, going to Green Bay, they need every single win they can get. I'm pretty sure with tiebreakers, they're technically first in the division right now, but that could easily change. Green Bay, on the other hand, maybe got a little bit too hot. maybe got a little bit too excited, started seeing some stars a little bit. Just lost on the road to Tommy DeVito, NFC Player of the Week. They've got to get it together and win this game if they want to make the playoffs.
Do you know that before we talk about this game, that us and Tommy DeVito, there's no difference? Like, we're both 25, both from North Jersey, living at home with our parents.
I'm Italian Jersey.
Like, there is no difference, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he went to high school 5 minutes from where we did. He lives with his parents at home, same age.
No, actually, they were talking about DeVito during the broadcast, and I was like, wait, they said 25, like, with his brother. And I looked over at my brother, and there's like Italian family. What the hell?
The only difference is he plays for the Giants. That's literally it.
Well, I mean, you got a helmet right there.
Yeah, is there a difference? I mean, maybe there's not.
Ziggy, that's true what you said there. Like, every game is a must-win for the Bucs right now. And the Falcons have Carolina this week. And the Saints have the Giants, who, I'm still assuming the Giants aren't that good. Who knows what's happening at the moment? But those should be, it feels like those are 2 wins for the teams that you're racing for the NFC South crown with. So, it gets to a must-win point for Tampa Bay here. And I hate this argument about what's important in games when you say turnovers, because obviously turnovers are important to football games. But the Bucs this year are 3-1 in games where they don't turn the ball over and 0-4 in games where they have 2 turnovers. And the Packers are one of the worst in the league at actually forcing turnovers. So that's one spot here where Tampa Bay can say, okay, it depends what Baker you get. If you get good Baker, this Packers team is so young, you have a shot.
Yeah, man, going back to what I said preseason, my NFC South champion pick. You've seen what Baker can do. He's got his decent games in him. This, to me, is a really, really big game for Green Bay. Coming home, the Giants game, to me, is similar to what we saw with Houston at the Jets. Same stadium. A bit of a trap spot. Like, they're riding a bit of a high. They're favored. And then they're caught out of nowhere on the road. It happens. Young quarterback. But I don't want to take away the fact that the Packers lost the game from, again, what Jordan Love and the Packers did. I know Barkley fumbled the ball and kind of gave it to him late there, but they took a late lead in a game the Giants controlled for the most part. And we saw a great drive by DeVito, game-winning field goal. It happens, but now you're in a playoff race, and I don't think a lot of Packers fans expected to be here. And now you're at home against a team under 500, a very winnable game. I really, really want to see a good turnover-free Jordan Love in this game against Tampa Bay.
Oh, I'm completely with you. Sorry, Ziggy, I'll be quick here.
You're good.
Jordan Love, if you could give him a team to come home and play a game against, there are not many that you'd pick over the Buccaneers right now. Last week, Desmond Ritter threw for 347 yards, the career high. Drake May had 172 receiving yards. Like, this is one of the worst. I believe they're the 3rd worst passing defense in the NFL. So it's a nice spot to get right for Jordan Love. But at the same time here, the injury concerns at receiver are actually quite concerning. Yeah. If Watson's out and Reed is out and Wicks is out, it's already a unit that has a lot of good players, but there's not many who can really take over a football game. If you start stripping away, 1, 2, 3, and you just have 1 or 2 guys that you trust, and Musgrave is out as well, at some point you have to be realistic with the capabilities of the Packer offense, even though you're going up against one of the worst defenses.
I'm not saying I want to see Jordan Love look like a world beater. I just want to see him do enough and look solid and win this game. And a game they probably should win at home against Tampa Bay. Again, December, their type of weather. I don't think Tampa's really that good at all.
Well, here's the thing to worry about, I think, is Tampa Bay matches up well against the Green Bay Packers in one really important aspect. Over the past few weeks, the Bucs running offense has sort of come online, right? They had a tough start to the season, but Rachaad White has gone over 100 yards in 2 of his last 3 games. And against the Falcons, actually, Mike Evans had 1 catch for 8 yards. Buccaneers were still able to pull the victory out. Then you go to Green Bay with the 31st ranked run defense in the entire league, giving up an average of 4.6 yards per carry, an average of 142 yards on the ground per game. They really need the run defense to perform, because if the Buccaneers are able to hold the ball, run effectively, and score, Jordan Love, I just don't think is going to be able to keep up.
And that's what so many Packers fans were mad about last week. They kind of gave Love a pass. You have bad games. They were really unhappy with Joe Barry. They have been for a long time in Green Bay. They don't like the way that defense looks. at all. And the last drive has gotten a lot of the criticism. I'm expecting a better performance from Green Bay here. Like, it feels like a spot where everyone's like, their fan base came down hard on them for that performance against the Giants, because you're in the middle of a playoff chase. You can't look that way against Tommy DeVito. Like, you just can't. One thing I want to see for Love is I expect Jaden Reed to play, and he had 8 catches. I believe that was a career high for him. He had 8 catches for 27 yards. Like, come on, let's move the ball downfield a little bit more. That's something Packers fans were so excited to see over this winning streak, was Jordan Love throwing over the middle of the field, like making plays there. Everything was so short against the Giants, and you're running these sweeps left and right to Reed. Sure, the first one scored, but the last 2 got blown up for a 5-yard loss, and you lost a 2-point conversion on it. I want to see better play calling too, and I'm expecting a bounce back performance. I
mean, that touchdown pass to take a lead was fantastic.
So was the other one. So was the other one that should have been ruled a catch.
Yes. I don't know how that wasn't a catch. There's like 2 steps and then it was knocked out. But like, nonetheless, it was as bad or sloppy that they may have looked on the road. Love was not the reason they lost that game. They were winning, and it was DeVito made some nice plays at the end of the game.
They didn't sack him once. He was sacked 15 times the past 2 games, Tommy DeVito. They didn't get him once. Like, go get Baker Mayfield. Go. This has to be a statement game for the Packer defense.
Yeah.
All right, Jack. What game you got?
So I'm going same division, NFC North. We're heading to Motown for some Saturday night 8:15 Eastern time action. The Detroit Lions, Denver Broncos. Denver playing some good football, especially on the defensive end. I was surprised what they did last week, pretty much dominating LA on the road. They're right in the thick of things. It's serious panic mode to me if the Lions lose this game in front of their home fans on a Saturday night after getting waxed in Chicago. I am curious to see how Detroit, playing at home in primetime, bounces back and looks against a Denver team who really has surged since after week 4. And to me, if they lose this game, it is serious issues. Yeah. Despite Denver playing good football, serious issues.
Yeah, Jared Goff has been crumbling the past few weeks. He has not looked anything like the quarterback we've seen.
A Denver team who's looked fantastic against Mahomes and Allen and Justin Herbert. This is not what you want to see if you're Jared Goff right now. Is a team playing defense like they're playing defense? No,
the Denver defense. They're forced. I mean, and that's the scary part for the Lions here. The Denver defense, we keep saying this turnover rate that they're on can't continue, but they've forced 2 or more turnovers in 5 of the last 6 games. That's what they're doing. You know, the numbers might not jump off the page, but they're forcing turnovers. 6 of the last 7 games under 215 yards. Like 6 sacks last week against the Chargers. That's how you make Goff make mistakes. If you get after Jared Goff, turn him over. I'm liking the Broncos.
And if Denver's doing this against, like I just said before, Mahomes and Herbert and Allen, who's Goff?
Well, here's the thing though. If the Lions have Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think that might be the best 1-2 punch in the game. Guess who has the worst rushing defense in football?
Denver.
The Denver Broncos. That's where, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm going to lean on those 2 guys who have both been phenomenal. When they're healthy, each of them should be a starting running back in the NFL. They're a great pair. I'm going to try and run down the Denver throat. Zach, it looks like you have something to say.
I just feel like that would be skewed on the fact that we did put up like 400 yards against them.
You know what?
I was going to say, that's that Broncos-Dolphins game was when we all found out who A-Chain was.
Yeah.
I mean, that was crazy. I mean, Gibbs and Montgomery is right now as good at 1-2 as it really gets. It's thunder and lightning. Reminds me of Willie Parker and Jerome Bettis back in the day.
Ziggy, what were you going to say?
I was going to repeat Zach's point. We are tied by a team that just held Austin Eckler to 50 last week, right?
Yes.
I think actually the weakness isn't the run defense as much as it's the quarterback defense. Ask a Broncos fan what the 2 most disappointing games of the year were for them. They're going to tell you it was the Commanders game and the Dolphins game. Games where quarterbacks who are good at sitting back and getting comfortable and delivering passes, Sam Howell and Tua, carved them up. So the Lions, I think, are going to come in with the same game plan, right? And of course, Dane Campbell knows his former teacher, Sean Payton, perfectly well. I think that's going to be what they're going for here. So the question, as you say, is just, can you get Javonte Williams going, force Jared Goff to get a little bit uncomfortable, and make him get rid of the ball quickly?
It's funny because we're talking about these stats and games from before the Broncos win streak. So Broncos fans are going to be sitting back watching this going like, yeah, but have you seen this the past 6 weeks? And they're totally right. Like, it's
they're entitled.
It started off kind of cute, this whole Broncos run. Like, good for Sean Payton, good for Russ turning it around. But now, even though they're the 9 seed, like, they have a legitimate shot to win the AFC West. Like, that's actually
they're
it's actually
a game behind
play.
The Chiefs. That's crazy.
It's both sides of the ball are doing this. The Chiefs have a pretty light schedule, which is disappointing. They're at New England versus the Raiders versus the Bengals at the Chargers. You expect them to win out there, but with one slip up, the Broncos have Detroit, New England, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Very similar schedule to Kansas City. If the Broncos win this game, they should win out. And then we're talking about one mistake by a Chiefs team that's been sluggish. And if the Broncos won the division after their start to the year,
that would be so unbelievable. What were those division odds when they were 0-4 or 0-3?
I mean, it's going to be pretty tough for the Broncos to get the divisional record tiebreaker. I think that's really the problem.
I was playing around with it. There's like a certain, I believe the Chiefs lost to, can't remember who it was. Maybe it was like
they absolutely need to lose to the Raiders and the Chargers. Otherwise, there's basically no.
Regardless, just the fact that the Broncos are in this right now is what's it's mind blowing, honestly.
Yeah, it is, and there's a serious chance they get the 6 or 7 seed.
Look, I'm a little concerned too. The Detroit defense. I know that Jared Goff has got a lot of the attention on this show, but in the past 5 games, they've allowed 26 or more points in each of them.
If there's a vicious odor, by the way, it's my feet. I have no socks on. I have slides.
I can't even.
What?
I smell it. Maybe hopefully you don't smell it.
Hopefully you don't have to keep talking about it.
Zach's just shaking his head right now.
Hopefully you don't smell it, but I smell it.
I mean, look, here's the funny thing about this, right? Is you can go back to like week 7, week 8 when the Lions were entering their bye, and you had the Broncos at like 3-5, still smarting from the Dolphins lost, and you had the Lions 6-2, ready to conquer the world. Now, again, the teams are going in different directions. It feels like the Lions are slipping and the Broncos are surging.
The Lions are like the anti-Lions of last year. They started off really hot, and now they're just crumbling to the finish.
If you look at this game a couple of weeks ago, Broncos at Lions, I'm taking the Lions easily. That's not the case anymore, though.
No, I think Denver, momentum matters.
And I usually do like these. I think the Lions win this game at home, and I usually do like these spots where you're off a loss. You're a team with expectations who are awful loss against a team you shouldn't have lost to in a pretty bad way. And the team you're playing, in this case, Denver, just won a big game on the road. So most of the time, the team coming home, they're hungrier. They're going to want it more. But Denver's fighting for their playoff
I just think Denver's better.
I think Detroit's probably better than Denver.
I just think Denver's.
Let's not forget Sean Payton is fighting for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, no, he is.
Yeah, they're fighting for these things.
The Lions, to me, right now, when you look at their team, the shiniest thing is the record. There's not much that I look at on Detroit. They have some fun playmakers. Like Amon-Ra's great. I love Gibbs. I think Montgomery's a great complementary piece. Aiden Hutchinson, a lot of really good players. But as a whole, with the way they're playing, I think that you look at Detroit and go, yeah, they're 9-4. They must be really good. They're not playing like a 9-4 team. Denver's playing like the 9-4 team. The Lions look like the 6-7 squad. And that's why I think it was a 7-6, whatever they are. That's why I'm sitting back here thinking that Denver's going to go into Detroit. It's not going to be like Denver won't blow them out or anything.
And Cortland Sutton's been
a monster.
Amazing too.
He's been unbelievable. He's been exactly what you thought you had in him last year.
Yeah, when he drafted in fantasy in the fourth round. Yeah.
He's been great. So Detroit, and that could lead into this next conversation here where we're going to talk about some teams that are chasing down division leaders at the moment. And we'll start here with the Vikings-Packers. For the Packers, and I'm sorry if you're getting sick of the Packer talk here. It's just so happened that they fit into this category.
And they're most of our subscribers.
So we got to talk about it. The Packers, to me, expectations and winning can breed expectations. And I feel like Green Bay over this winning streak started to have the national media say, yeah, this team is really good. I keep seeing national people rank them in the top 10 teams in the league. And to me, that felt like a bit of a stretch. And Packers fans have been great with this. All of you guys have done a really nice job of staying moderate throughout much of this season, while the national media landscape is, oh, they suck, oh, they're great. Going into New York in a hostile environment where Giants fans, our friends who went to that game, said it was the most raucous environment they've heard MetLife for a Giants game in years. Like, it felt like a college atmosphere. You had so many guys out, the wind, Love didn't play well. That's where you remember that, okay, this team is, it's filled with it's the youngest team in the league, and they were not supposed to be very good. So to be where they're at right now, it's impressive on its own. I think that the Packers, when they sit here, they're 1 game behind the Vikings, 2 games or 3 games behind Detroit at the moment.
Yeah,
Detroit's 9-4.
2 behind.
Yeah, we're 2 behind. Their chances of winning the division, they have to win out. And I was playing around with the simulator before, and there's a world. It can actually happen that the Packers win the NFC North. It was something.
The division's the Lions.
I don't know. If the Lions lose the next 3, which is possible, they got Dallas, Denver, and at Minnesota, and Green Bay wins out, they lock up the division in Week 18, which is crazy.
I think that the Lions will be at worst 2-2.
Yeah, the Packers are plus 3,000 for a reason.
We'll chalk up a loss. We'll chalk up a loss at Dallas. The Lions will lose that game in Dallas. Mm-hmm. The Broncos game is big, but let's give them a win at home against Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
If they beat Denver this week at home, which again they probably should, the Packers have 0 chance.
Yeah, no. The Denver game's the one to circle.
They gotta finish 2-2. The Lions finish 2-2. The Packers have no chance.
If the Lions lose to Denver, that's when the Vikings and Packers can both start circling the one spot and say, we have a shot.
Especially Minnesota, because you're ahead of Green Bay and you play Detroit twice.
Well, but we have Green Bay on the schedule too. So each team, that Week 17 game, Vikings-Packers on New Year's Eve, if Detroit loses, Zach's what are we talking about here?
The Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings are the one team that actually has a chance here. It's not a good chance, but they at least have a path. Beat the Lions twice. Yeah. The Packers do not have a realistic path.
The Packers,
I think that is it crazy to
think? No, but this is when you say that. When you talk about, here's why they don't. When you talk about the Lions losing out, you're talking about the Vikings beating the Packers twice.
Let's say the Lions lose their last 3 games or whatever. One will come to Minnesota. 2 will come to Minnesota.
No. Listen.
If the Lions lose 3 or 4, 2 are probably to Minnesota.
Look, if the Lions, here's what I have.
First of all, Lions are not losing to Minnesota. They're playing Nick Mullins this week. I don't want to hear
Dude, that defense has been phenomenal.
I don't care.
No, this is clickbait. It's clickbait.
This actually, I'm not even trying to have clickbait here.
Exactly.
Is it crazy to have?
It's clickbait that he's thinking this.
Is it crazy to have the Lions lose those 3 games?
Yes.
To Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas, and to think the Packers beat the Bucs, Panthers, Vikings, and Bears?
Yes.
That's not insane.
I don't think Green Bay wins out.
Well, they're not going to beat the Vikings.
You're insane.
I'm just saying, man.
Are you a homer? Is Paul a homer?
If Paul were a homer, he's so anti being a homer that he's twisting himself into shape.
He's saying Green Bay's
right. This is the thing.
No, I think
if the Vikings beat the Lions twice,
there it is.
I'm saying it's
look, we're starting Nick Mullins this week. Well, the Bengals are going to fall.
Let's go to the Vikings.
The Vikings beat the Lions twice. If they do that and they beat the Bengals, the division's theirs. Game over.
Here's beat the Raiders 3-0. All right, you're 2 games behind Detroit. You can't score more than 3 on the Raiders. You're not
no one scores on us.
It's over. You're not winning the division.
All right, let's talk about the Vikings for a second here, because
we talked enough about.
We owe it to Merle.
This is way too much Vikings.
We haven't even talked about them.
The Vikings
exactly. That's why there's too much.
They're just irrelevant.
They're the 6th seed.
You're like the Steelers of the NFC.
Vikings are making the playoffs.
We're a playoff team.
I mean, so are we. I don't want to talk about us.
No, you're not.
We're the 6th seed right now too.
Listen.
I don't want to speak about us at all.
What are we listening to, Paul? Give it to me.
Here's what I want to say. With Nick Mullins, we have a better shot of being a competent team than with Josh Dobbs right now. Dobbs was a super fun ride.
What are you talking about?
We all knew that was going to crash and burn. Even when he was having the super highs against the Falcons, we still knew this guy turns the ball over all the time. He's really not that accurate of a passer.
Crash and burn.
Yeah.
That's a great pun.
What do you need in the Kevin O'Connell offense is someone who could his back foot fire a pass. Mullins can do that. Now, look, is he going to be accurate all the time? Probably not. but he's a better passer than Josh Dobbs is. And the Vikings offense, like, it's different from the Ravens. The Ravens let Lamar run and do his thing. You know, there are playmakers that you could just hand off to and they'll go. The Vikings, you got to get the ball to Jefferson, get it to Hawkinson, get it to Jordan Addison. We have no running attack. We have no running attack at all. So I like Mullins as a better option to get the ball out to those guys to go make a play. And with the way the defense has looked over the past like month and a half, they're 10th now in yards allowed per game and fifth best in points allowed per game. They haven't allowed a touchdown. They've one touchdown in 3 weeks.
I mean, I don't think a soul is like arguing with you that the Vikings like won't make the playoffs. I mean, the NFC is terrible. There's like 2 good teams.
Can we not beat Detroit?
You could beat Detroit, but you'd go to Dallas and lose.
Well, I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying we can catch Detroit.
Like, what are you saying?
You guys can't beat Detroit.
I'm saying we can catch Detroit.
I think being 2 games back is tough. Like, you have to beat Detroit twice, most likely, which I don't think you'll do.
If Denver beats Detroit and we beat the Bengals this weekend, we play Detroit.
Oh, you also won't beat the Bengals.
Okay.
I think that, what's his name? I think Browning is good. The Bengals are good.
Can we switch to talking about something that might actually happen? Please.
I'm saying it's not going to happen.
Okay, Ziggy, go ahead. Bring up. What a disaster segment.
Here's something that a couple weeks ago you might have not thought was actually going to happen that now is starting to look increasingly likely. The Bills and the Dolphins.
No, we're not going to this.
I mean,
look, I've been saying for over a month just about that the Bills and the Dolphins are going to play in January for the division. And what happens? I say that King Henry is going to demolish the Dolphins. And sure enough, King Henry scores the game-winning touchdown.
So
I say those bum Chiefs have no chance against the Buffalo Bills. And sure enough, those bum Chiefs have no chance against the Buffalo Bills.
The bum Chiefs won the game. That was a ridiculous penalty.
How worried are you right now?
0. I'm not worried at all.
You're not worried at all?
No.
I find that hard to believe.
I mean, Baltimore's an automatic loss.
No, it's not.
That is automatic. Then you play Dallas.
Yeah, the Dolphins up to this point have had the 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL. Now they have the absolute hardest. It's going to be the Dolphins have to play significantly better than they've played over the past few months or the past few weeks if they want to win.
If I am Zach this week and the Bills beat the Cowboys, I am sweating bullets. I am so nervous about your season has been awesome this year. Tyreek has been seriously an MVP candidate at receiver. Tua has been pretty good. You guys have been so good. And if the Bills beat the Cowboys, you are fucked. I think you know it too.
No.
Because you know it.
Can we also not forget that the Dolphins host the Bills last week of the season?
Did you watch the Bills-Dolphins game? What about the way Miami is currently playing and the way the Bills are currently playing makes you think
it's such an overreaction? We lost to the Tennessee Titans.
No,
he's lost to a bad team before.
Here's the problem.
The Dolphins had a 14-point lead with 3 minutes and some fluke crap. They dominated Tennessee, and it was just some fluky nonsense. The Dolphins are a very good team.
Did they dominate Tennessee? Tennessee fumbled a punt and threw a 3-yard interception return for a touchdown.
They didn't even play well. It was 2013. They didn't even play a good game, and they were kicking their ass.
And you've got to worry about all these. Yeah, did you see this Dolphins team without Tyreek Hill? And now Tyreek Hill is saying, I think my ankle's gone. There's a real danger. Yeah. He said that his first reaction after he was hurt was my ankle's gone. And then he texted my wife saying, this shit hurts. And she said, dog, you better get your ass back in the game. He got his ass back in the game. He was terrible. And now he's not practicing.
He was good when he got back.
Tyreek Hill is going to be playing.
He's fine.
Every time he came back in, he made a play.
The Dolphins will beat the Jets by a lot. They're going to kick their ass. Then they play Baltimore, right?
Yep. No, then they play Dallas. Then they play Baltimore.
See, Dallas is that huge game.
Either one. The Bills. It's the Bills Cowboys game. That's the one that matters.
If you chalk up the Dolphins losing in Baltimore as an automatic loss, which it probably is, and they finish 3-1, that's the Dolphins division.
Yes.
That's going to happen.
As long as
it's crazy to you guys to think the Bills are just going to win out.
What are the Bills?
I'm not saying the Bills are going to win out.
The Bills are what? 7-6. Yeah. Miami's 9-4. Miami's 2 games up right now on them.
If Dallas
and the Dolphins play the Jets.
Well, the Bills can get the tiebreaker.
It would come down to the tiebreak. If the Dolphins lose one of their next 3, and the Bills win out over the next 3, whoever wins in Miami wins the division.
I think the Dolphins win in Miami.
Maybe.
But I think Buffalo gets crushed in that game. I think this is the biggest overreaction in the world because the Dolphins choked on some fluky nonsense. They were up by 14 points late. Like if they just hold that, which like 99% of the time they do, we're sitting here like, oh, Dolphins, yeah,
it's over. They beat the Jets.
Well, I mean, what have you seen this season that makes you think the Dolphins are going to go 3-1 against the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills?
Well, that's actually what I was wondering.
I think that the Dolphins are one of the toughest teams to stop. I think they're very good on both sides.
Oh, so was it the time they lost to Kansas City, the time they got blown out by the Bills, or the time they got blown out by the Eagles? Which one of those games against a team with a decent defense made you think they can't be stopped?
But hold on. Do you
didn't get blown out by the Bills?
The time they played a close game with Kansas City on a neutral field, they lost in Buffalo, lost in Philly. Now they're playing host to Dallas and a host to Buffalo. Totally different stories. 100% different story.
I don't think it's a 28-point difference being at home. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's a 14-point difference being at home.
The Dolphins are a really good team, probably the toughest team to stop when all things are clicking, and they also play very good defense. I think it was very, very fluky what just happened.
Oh, no, it was.
And the whole world is overreacting.
It was.
This is a very, very good football team who now is just being kicked to the curb for no
Don't you expect in a big game against Baltimore, against Cowboys, against the Bills, whatever, who do you expect to make the mistake? Because to me, it's Miami. Miami will make the mistake to lose the game before the other three.
Miami playing at home is a different story. They've gone on the road and they've lost all season. Was this their first home loss?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was their first home loss. They were crushing this team, and this nonsense happens.
Have they played anyone good at home, though?
But they've killed everybody they've played. Doesn't matter. They've murdered pro teams week after week at home.
No, they didn't kill the Raiders at home.
What?
That was a close
kill the
game.
Raiders.
Well, that was the beginning of the AP era. That was different.
That was 4 weeks ago.
You're jumping to conclusions. You're like, oh, like Miami's dead. Like this Buffalo's vision. Like pump the brakes on that. I think this is way too big of an overreaction.
There I go, playing with the stash again. I got to control myself.
I'm just saying, I hope you listen to me and placed your Bills AFC East winner plus 1,600.
I think it's valuable, for sure. I think your Titans pick ended up looking like a very good pick. But we're just telling this Dolphins team now that you guys are dead.
No. The Dolphins should still win the division.
Well, they're not. This is still my third best team in the AFC.
Yeah, the Dolphins should win the division. But if the Cowboys lose to the Bills, watch out. That's all I'm saying.
It's gonna be a fun final 3 weeks. If the Dolphins lose to the Jets, now they're dead. It's over.
Yeah.
But they're going to make a big-time statement. They'll win like 41-10. That's my lock of the week.
That's not the game to watch.
Just watch.
All right, let's get to the game.
Okay. Wait, there was one more thing I wanted to say.
Now, after listening to that,
there was one more thing. I did want to talk about what Ben Roethlisberger said about the Steelers because, that's Jack's guy.
Look, all I have to say is we deserve to be shit-talked.
Yeah.
We stink.
Oh, okay. But this is your guy. Like, he said maybe the tradition of the Pittsburgh Steelers is done. That feels like a pretty big, heavy comment coming from your guy.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't it at least a little rich to have Ben Roethlisberger complaining about the culture and like the hardworking Steelers way being gone? Really?
Look, though, I agree with him here. What does he say?
Do you understand that this team would be? First of all, I do still firmly believe, from the bottom of my heart, I'm not a huge Kenny Pickett fan. But I do think that if he didn't go down against the Cardinals, we're sitting here at 9-4 and being talked about as a potential number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. I don't think we're very good. I think Mitch is one of the worst quarterbacks in the history of the league, and he's incapable of winning football games, which is why I think the Colts are going to destroy us this week. But if Pickett has been healthy, I don't think we lose to the Cardinals or the Pats, and we're here at 9-4. So, I mean, I do think that we stink, but Roethlisberger to say that, I don't think it's called for.
He called out Tomlin, too.
I think it's a stupid comment because your starting quarterback goes down in a game where he was on pace for 400 yards against Arizona, let us down the field immediately, and then got hurt. If your starting quarterback's playing against these 2-10 teams at home, I have no doubt in my mind that the Steelers are 9-4. And the conversation is, who's the one? Pittsburgh, Miami, or Baltimore?
Well,
so, Mitch Trubisky comes in, and he's horrible. It's no mystery. And we lose. We don't look good, but we lose. I think it's uncalled for. I don't think the comments were right.
I wanted to ask you just one follow-up question on like the state of Mike Tomlin with Pittsburgh right now, because I think he's a great coach. Like, Mike Tomlin's
There's no
awesome.
such thing as a great coach.
All right. Well, Mike Tomlin generally has done well with the Steelers.
Yeah, he's never had yeah.
But that's the thing though. So from 2007 to 2017, over those 11 years, they had 10 or more wins 8 times. Made the playoffs 8 of those 11 years.
From what years?
From 2007 when he took over to 2017. And over the past 5 years, though, now, you've had under 10 wins in 4 of those seasons, missed the playoffs 3 times, blown out twice in 2 of your playoff appearances, haven't won a playoff game since 2016. But everyone always reverts back to talking about Mike Tomlin saying, hey, we've never had a losing record, even though you're like 9-8, 9-8, right around that area. Like, that to me is not like that. Is that what the Steelers are now?
But Paul, 2007, 2017, you have a top 20 quarterback.
No, that's
ever.
what I'm saying. I'm saying like
you have a fantastic roster.
Yeah.
It's what Mike Tomlin's done with some of these teams to even reach the playoffs. Okay. I think it's been pretty solid.
No, that was my question to you. Are Steelers fans as a community getting tired of Mike Tomlin at all? Because the offense has been horrible.
You'll find Steelers fans that say yes, but me personally, no. There's only so much you can do with a less talented roster than what you've had in the past.
Is it on him at all to make
many good players?
Changes?
It's tough to say because I do believe that with our starting QB healthy, we're 9-4, and these discussions aren't talked about.
Yeah. I'm just like playing devil's advocate, trying to get inside the mind of one of the premier Steeler experts.
We just need to find some big time quarterback somehow. That's really
everyone does.
It really is crazy what a difference in football just that one position can make. Like, give us Mahomes, we're a contender every year.
Oh yeah.
Give the Chiefs Mitch, and they're one of the worst teams.
If
you
gave the Vikings Kirk Cousins right now, I would seriously be saying we could win the NFC.
And I do want to see what Steelers fans have to say. A lot will probably say they're sick of Mike Tomlin. I'm really not. I think if Pickett's healthy, we're 9-4, and these as sloppy and as bad as we may have looked, we're winning games how we've tended to win them, and we're in play for number 1 seed. Mitch is just so bad.
Did you guys see what Najee said? This is a little old, but what Najee said when they asked him about Mitch Trubisky's leadership?
What he said was horrible.
This is when he was taking over. He goes, "It's fine, I guess."
Oh God. I mean, yeah, it's the disaster with him.
I mean, the backup quarterback is not in a good position to be a leader to begin with, and he's not good enough. Like, it's just there's nothing the guy can do. I don't.
Just imagine you're Mitch Trubisky and you hear that come out. It's like,
oh gosh,
it's fine. That's what Ben was talking about, though. He said there's no leaders on the offense. He's like, there's no. The quote he said was, "You don't have anyone grabbing someone by the face mask saying this is not what we do." Like he referenced Hines Ward and Jerome Bettis. Like there just is there's none of those guys on this team. On offense.
No, and that's...
You have George Pickens pouting in the end zone.
That's why I'm kind of fed up with Mike Tomlin getting so much criticism. Because we had so many good players, and now they're not as good. Mm-hmm. They're just not as good. It's look at Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
That's the worst team in the league.
People are going to say, though, it's on Mike Tomlin to get the people necessary to make the right decision.
But unlike New England, he's not the GM. He doesn't decide. And the way the Steelers work, he really doesn't get to decide who comes. And obviously he has a say. But it's not entirely his fault that they have a bad roster.
There's something to be said about never having a losing season.
And I
mean, that is pretty amazing regardless.
I also don't want to say, and we'll move on this in a second.
We'll go to game picks.
I don't want to say that the roster as a whole is horrible. I don't think it is. But when your defense has been so good for so many years, and now it's taken a step back, especially the secondary, which is not that good at all, and your quarterback position is struggling for the last couple of years now, it's hard. I don't think the roster is that bad, but we lack a couple big positions.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what Steelers fans say. I'm very interested to see where they stand on Tomlin.
Yeah.
In the middle. Like, you're
mixed.
still in the playoffs right now.
It'll be mixed.
You're still a playoff team at the season ended today somehow.
I'm Pickett healthy. We're probably 9-4.
Let's get on to our game picks here. You ready, Zach? Bring Zach into the show here. In his work clothes.
Blow through these.
We'll blow through some game picks. All right. The Chargers at the Raiders. Raiders a 3.5 point favorite. No Herbert.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. The Chargers are the most disappointing team ever. I'll take the Raiders at home.
No Herbert with these receivers. I don't think I'm taking the Chargers for the rest of the season.
No Keenan Allen.
Yeah. And the Raiders are a dog?
The Raiders are 3.5-point favorites. That tells you how bad it is.
I'll lay 3.5 for the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders rebound from getting shut out by my Vikings. They'll win this one.
Wolfpack.
The Vikings are getting 2.5 points at the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's really not enough. Browning's good. The Bengals are a solid team. The Vikings really are not. I hate to say it. The Bengals. The Bengals relatively big.
No, backup quarterbacks only win so long in the NFL. We've got a new quarterback situation, which means our backup quarterback winning timer has restarted. Give me the Vikings.
Give me your third string.
Give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I can see the Bengals whooping our ass in this game. I can see Jamar Chase and T. Higgins having monster games, but I'm going to put my faith in Brian Flores and that Vikings defense. So we might win like 2-0 in this game. I think I'll go with the Vikings.
That would be fine. 2-zip or 200-zip. Doesn't really matter.
The Steelers at the Colts. The Colts a 1.5-point favorite.
I have yet to pick against the Steelers all year. This is the week that I will do it.
Wow.
The Colts come home. The Colts come home off a beating and beat the Steelers. Mitch Trubisky totally inept. Couldn't beat the Cardinals. Couldn't beat the Pats.
It's so sad to see this.
It truly is horrendous to say. But the Steelers won't beat the Colts. Better quarterback play from the Colts. They're a better team right now. Mitch incapable of winning games in the NFL. He is so freaking bad. Indianapolis minus 120 at home. Lock of the year.
If Jack's picking against the Steelers, I cannot in good conscience take the Steelers. Give me the Colts.
I'm going to set the scene real quick. I'm going to take the Steelers, but what's going to happen is they're going to start coming up, and we're going to get a text from Jack. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Super Bowl's on, baby. Super Bowl's on.
If we go to 8-6,
he's going to say Mitch
is the
greatest quarterback ever.
If we go to 8-6 and Mitch plays a good game,
it'll be Mitch is an animal. That's what it'll say. Mitch is a beast.
Picking against them, though, they're going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts. I'm taking the Colts, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a show.
You know what's funny? We had 3 games there. 3 games, and all 6 teams did not have their quarterback from the start of the season playing.
Wow.
Crazy. Chargers, crazy. Raiders, Vikings, Bengals, Steelers, Colts. All backups. The Broncos at the Lions. Detroit, a 4-point favorite.
I'd be hesitant to lay any sort of points in this game. I think it goes wire to wire. But Detroit, in front of their home fans, Saturday night, huge game. They find a way to get it done. So I'll take Dan Campbell to bounce back.
When I don't know who to pick, I pick the better quarterback. The last good number of weeks, Russell Wilson has looked like the better quarterback. Give me the Broncos.
Yeah, give me the Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos trending up, Detroit trending down.
Give me a lone
follow the momentum.
Give me a lone wolf.
Yeah, you got the lone wolf. I got the Broncos. The Buccaneers are getting 3.5 points at the Green Bay Packers.
My NFC South champs will lose this week. I expect a pretty big game from Jordan Love. Bounce back type game after a tough loss. Sour taste in their mouth. Cold weather, December, Lambeau Field. Got the Packers. Go, Pack, go.
And cold weather in December means that the team with the better run game is going to win. I don't trust this Packers run defense one bit. Give me the Bucs.
I want this channel to survive, so let's go with the Packers.
That's a good reason to pick the Packers.
I want the channel to survive too. And I think Jordan Love bounces back. But I'm going to pick the Buccaneers. I just have a feeling.
Sometimes you have a feeling.
I think Green Bay's good, but are they as good as people are saying? No. Remember we said
the Bucs not good?
Yeah.
The Bucs pretty bad.
Yeah, the Bucs pretty bad. The Giants go to the Saints. The Saints giving 6 points.
The G-Man.
Yeah, this can't keep going on, right? This is insane.
No, this is a game where DeVito looks horrible.
New Orleans.
He goes on the road against a good Saints defense and just gets absolutely mauled. The hype will be over. The Saints win and cover in a huge way.
People are getting a little bit too excited. I agree. The Giants have overperformed. I do not trust the team that beat the Patriots by 3 to win in New Orleans. Give me the Saints.
Well, don't talk bad about the Patriots. Don't talk bad about the Patriots.
Okay, Josh.
Saints.
I have New Orleans too, but I don't know at this point.
People will love the Giants 2+6. They're gonna get killed.
Yeah, this should be a blowout.
Yeah,
but
they're gonna get killed.
Who knows? The Falcons are 3-point favorites at the Panthers. This is quick for Jack.
Atlanta. Yep.
Atlanta. Yep.
Atlanta.
I have Atlanta too. The Texans at the Tennessee Titans. Titans favored by 2.5.
I like Houston to bounce back. I think they're a better team than Tennessee. Tennessee, a huge, unbelievable, stupid nonsense win. They're probably still riding a high. Now the line's not what it should be. Houston should be favored. They're a better team. Off a tough loss, Houston. Stroud bounces back.
Yeah, this is the actual overreaction. Texans coming off their worst game in the NFL. The Titans coming off their best game this year. And it's not like this is representative of trends. The Texans are a much better team.
Yeah.
I'm taking the better team.
Again, want this channel to survive? Give me the Texans.
The Texans need this game though for their playoff sake. They need to bounce back in this one, and I want to see what they look like because now Tank Dell out for the year. A couple other guys are starting to get banged up. I'm a little concerned for Houston for the first time in a while. I think they win, but this is a big bounce back spot for them. The Jets are 8.5-point underdogs to your Miami Dolphins. Zach, who you got, Jack?
This is my lock of the century. I think the Dolphins come out and win this game 56-0.
So Colts lock of the year.
And Dolphins lock of the century. Yeah,
century.
the Dolphins win 56-0. Mark that down. The Jets won't cross midfield. Dolphins kick the shit out of them. Miami.
What's the spread, Paul?
8.5.
That's light. There should be 14.5. Jets had a lucky win. Dolphins had a freaking insane
there's
collapse.
some money coming in on the Jets.
I think Tyreek Hill is probably going to play, so that's why I'm taking the Dolphins. But we do sometimes allow conditional picks. If Tyreek Hill does not play a snap, give me the Jets. I think this is going to be
crazy
a close one.
I still take the Dolphins without Tyreek Hill.
We are going to absolutely destroy the Jets.
Thank you for saying destroy. Thank you for saying destroy. I was concerned what words were going to come out next. I also have the Dolphins in this one, but I don't think you crush them.
When the Dolphins win 63-0, we'll come back here next week and be like, oh, okay. Yeah,
you're playing the AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
They're for real.
You're playing the AFC. If I told you that like a week ago, if I said in the Dolphins-Jets game, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week will be playing, you would have named what? Tua, Tyreek, Mostert, Achane, Waddle.
No, I don't think Wilson finishes this game. I think it's 20 zip after one, and he's out.
New Zach Wilson, man. New era. But I still got the Dolphins. Chicago goes to Cleveland. The Browns are a 3-point favorite. Joe Flacco. He's back, Jack.
He never left. I've always liked Joe Flacco. He's a gunslinger. He's confident. He's been around the block.
Handsome
guy. Probably, probably packs a bit. I'll take the Browns at home.
The Browns defense just took a whole lot of hits in terms of injuries. Meanwhile, the Bears continue to get better. I actually think the Bears are going to come out and win this one. They've been able to get a little bit more pressure. They'll get a little pressure on Flacco, and that's going to be enough to win the game.
That's a nonsense take, Ziggy.
I'm riding the Flack train all day.
Yeah, come on, you got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with the Browns still. With despite the injuries, which I know there are a lot of them. Cleveland has been a different animal.
The way the Browns play at home. I mean, Flacco looked good last week.
That was fun watching their secondary last week.
Flacco 2+ touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Than Kenny Pickett has all year.
Yeah. He's had 2 games with 2 or more touchdowns.
Flacco's better than Pickett. That's not even close.
Greg Newsome is dude. That secondary is swagger. I know they just lost Delpit, but all right. I'm gonna name these 3 games here and ask you if anyone disagrees with the pick. Chiefs at Patriots. We're all on the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Commanders at Rams. We're all on the Rams.
Yeah.
Yes.
And 49ers at Cardinals. We're all on the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that said, we'll move on to Cowboys at Bills. Buffalo, a 1.5-point favorite.
I got Buffalo close in front of their home crowd. Like I said before, some sort of huge turnover, a huge play late propels the Bills at home. In upstate New York in freezing cold weather.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Let's go, Buffalo. Give me the Bills all day. Plus 1,600 is cashing.
Dallas.
Hey, the line's dropping. It's 2.5 now. It's a 1.5.
These fans will be jumping on the tables, getting rowdy, down in their 6-packs up in Buffalo. Buffalo.
It'll be a college atmosphere.
Oh, it'll be
but
great.
Dak Prescott makes his MVP statement in this one. Cowboys win. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites at the Jaguars.
That's a tough one.
This is sneaky. This is Sunday Night Football, too.
I'm going to go with Baltimore. I don't think Jacksonville really has a great home field advantage. I trust Lamar more than I trust Trevor Lawrence in a game like this. So I got the Ravens. I hate to say it, but I got the Ravens.
The Jaguars are starting to slip a little bit. They've played a lot of close games, and the Ravens know they've got a tough schedule coming up. Winning this game is critical to getting the 1 seed. This is probably their easiest game left. You might think it's the Steelers, but the Steelers-Ravens is a different beast. I'm taking the Ravens. They're ready to play.
That'll somehow be close. Ravens-Steelers. Somehow it'll be close.
It's always close. You just never know.
It'll be like 13-9. Zach's pondering.
I just don't want to take the Ravens, so.
It's Jaguars?
Well, to support your claim here, Zach, or your hope, the Chiefs have to be the 1 seed. And in order to get the 1 seed, they're going to need the Ravens to start losing some games. I think it's going to be one of those. We've seen some weird night games this year. A lot of them in MetLife where teams that shouldn't win have been finding ways to win. Jacksonville's not as bad as the Jets or Giants. I think the Jaguars are going to win this one. I think it's a bounce back spot. Good game, but Jacksonville sneaks away late.
I'd love to see them do so.
Yeah, I actually think the Jaguars. I'm not just taking them for shits and giggles. The Eagles are 3.5-point favorites at the Seahawks on Monday Night Football.
I think Seattle's pretty bad right now. I think this line's lower than it should be because the Eagles have gotten waxed the last 2 weeks by some of the best teams in football. Philly finds their way. They bounce back. They look right again, and they cover this number on the road in Seattle, which I usually hate doing, but I'll take Philly.
I genuinely think this Seahawks team is bad. I don't think that people like Devin Witherspoon coming back is going to be good enough. So I got to take the Eagles here. They are the better team, even if I'm not super high on Philadelphia.
I think Geno sucks.
Is Geno even playing, or is it Drew Lock?
Yeah, it's Lock.
Either one.
Locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded.
The Birds.
It's the battle of the birds. The green birds versus the green birds. The East Coast birds versus the West Coast birds.
Yeah, I got the East Coast Birds. The Eagles are going to win this one.
Get those East Coast
we
birds.
said Seattle might be a top 7 team in the NFC. The schedule's too hard down the stretch. I have the Eagles.
Right, I got to get my Carvel.
Yeah, let's do this.
Drinking in the nice warm bath.
Oh my God, that is so weird, man. 9:40.
Let's wrap this up, guys.
9:40. You pick up a milkshake from Carvel and then you drink it in a bath.
Does it sound amazing?
Let's wrap this up.
It sounds nice, but I guess a milkshake in a tub doesn't sound that bad after all.
It's like a hot tub.
Go finish.
Okay. I just want to make this clear. I am not a Packer fan. I'm not a Packer fan.
It's okay. You can admit it. You can admit it to our fans. They can accept this.
No.
That's no big deal.
There's no percent. During the Giants game, I understand that our show does better when the Packers win. I'm not a Packer fan. The segment that we had earlier in the show was, could the Packers find a way to win the NFC North? Which I do think there's a chance. Is it a good chance? No. But I felt like it was coming off that I was a Packer fan, and I just need to defend that.
It's okay to have a little bit of
wearing green,
a little bit of a soft spot for them when it comes to them doing well for the sake of our show. I think that's fine.
For the sake of the show, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
I can't wait to kick their ass on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, of course.
I cannot wait for that.
Will we be at that game?
Probably not.
No. Should we all send it? Watch the ball drop in Minneapolis?
No, it's gonna be freezing.
It's
they play inside.
If it's for look after the Lions lose,
what?
Never mind, just go.
After the Lions lose to Denver, and after they lose to us, and we play the Pack, and then Dallas will beat the Lions. That means Vikings Packers is going to be for the division, and we're going to beat them and lock up the division week 17. We will go to it if that is the case.
I'm 100% down.
Yeah.
Wait, is it 11? Is that an hour behind us?
Yes.
Oh, so it's a fake New Year's.
No, it's great because the game ends at like 11, and then you go to a bar for the ball, or you're outside celebrating the win with all the Vikings fans at midnight.
That'd be fun.
Then we go out in Minneapolis and party because we just won the NFC North.
That'd be fun.
Going to be great.
Then we're back for the playoff game next week.
Then we're back for the play. No. Then we come home and we relax in Detroit. We play Cam Akers, like we bring him off IR because again, if we play a backup running back at this point, backup quarterback. Like, we don't have backup quarterbacks, really. They're all starters for us. So we'll play Cam Akers, who's our emergency quarterback, despite his Achilles injury. And then we host... Who do we host?
Are we in a Christopher Nolan movie right now? Because this is only happening in your dreams.
Who would we host? We'd be the 3?
Like the Rams or someone.
This is the greatest outro we've ever.
Yeah, let's get out of here. This is terrible.
Yeah.
It's just Paul fantasizing about the Vikings winning the division.
You know what? I think the Steelers will win the Super Bowl. Is that nuts?
All right. End the show before somebody says something else that's stupider than that.
It could get dumb on this show.
I think the Dolphins.
All right, we'll wrap up there. Thanks again for listening to the Week 15 preview show. If you dealt with all of that, we really do appreciate every listener. Thanks for the comments, and we will see you with the reaction show on Sunday. See ya.